Well, good morning,
Perfect.
everyone. Thank you for joining us for this WWN webinar. I'll just tell you WWN stands for World Women in Neuroscience, and we are a mentoring and networking organization. And our vision and mission really is to advance careers, develop networks, and transform communities, especially now in this climate where science is being attacked, where research funding is scarce. It's really important that we rally together, that we help each
Uh,
other. And
sorry,
okay.
sorry, Emmeline. Actually, the attendees still in the waiting room.
Oh, okay.
Sonashi, I need you to admit them. They are all in the waiting room.
Okay.
Oh, you waited.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do we still have people in the waiting room? We have 38 right now.
Yeah,
39. Okay.
I see 38 and I didn't see anybody in the waiting room. Did they write to you? Did somebody write to you that they're in the waiting room?
Yes, because they are my lab members still in the waiting room.
Oh, okay.
Because I think when they join the webinar, there is no waiting room.
All
They
right.
directly
Yes,
say,
we are good now. We are good
Okay.
now.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, I'll start over. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us to this World Women in Neuroscience webinar. World Women in Neuroscience has been in existence for the past 15 years, and we are a mentoring and networking organization. And our mission and vision is really to advance career, develop research networks, and really transform communities of neuroscientists, especially in this time of scarce resources. It is really important that we rally together, that we help each other develop our science. The topic today is extremely appropriate. Resolving conflicts in research settings. When resources are scarce, it's very difficult to stay, focused and keep your mind on research. People tend to be a little bit more excitable. And so learning how to resolve conflict is really important. So I'm really glad that this webinar is happening today. I'm going to turn it over to Pixie, who is going to introduce our speaker. There you go, Pixie.
Right. Thank you, Emmeline. Thank you to kickstart our WWN webinar series. I'm Pixie, one of the members under the Education Subcommittee under WWN. Tonight, I am really glad. It's my great pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker today, Professor Vedrana Montana, for the WWN webinar series, Conflict Resolution in Research Settings. Professor Vedrana is a cellular neuroscientist originally from Croatia, where she obtained her academic training in biochemistry at the University of Zagreb. She later pursued her postdoc training at the University of Alabama in the United States, further expanding her expertise in neuroscience research. Her scientific work has focused extensively on glial biology, calcium-regulated glutamate release, neurodegenerative diseases, and glioblastoma. What makes Professor Montana especially well suited for today's topic is her remarkable international career journey across 3 continents, from Europe to North America and now in Asia, where she is currently based in China. Working within a very diverse cultural, academic, and research environment has undoubtedly provided her with unique perspectives on how we can have a communication, collaboration, and leadership, and even a conflict management in this multicultural research setting. I believe that her experience navigating different scientific system, institutional expectation, and cross-cultural interaction will make her an ideal speaker today to share her valuable reflection and practical strategies how to foster a healthy, productive, and respectful research environment. Please join me to warm welcoming Professor Vedrana. Vedrana, the floor is yours. Thank you.
You.
Well, thank you, Pixie. Thank to World Women in Neuroscience for giving me this opportunity to share some of my perspectives and experiences during my career. So I, as Pixie already mentioned, I am biochemist, and I am in neuroscience, so I consider myself a neurochemist. And I would like to have a disclosure here. I have no experience in HR. I have no experience in mediation, and I have no credentials in conflict resolution except my life experience. And during these 35 years, you can tell I'm old, my experience in lab and research, I have been working in very different environments and cultures. And today I will share some of those experiences with you. Some are more personal, and some are the ones that I witnessed. So I will try to share my my screen with you now. And can you see?
I will let you know.
Oh,
I will let you know
oh.
once we see the slide. So you can just proceed by clicking the share button. Yeah. We are still waiting for the slide.
Okay.
To project.
Okay. Let me know when you start seeing it.
Yes, I start to see your desktop. And now if you switch to the PowerPoint icon, yes. Okay. Here it is.
Okay.
Thank you. You can now, yes, slideshow button.
Okay.
It
Can
works.
you see?
Thank you. Yes, it works well.
Okay. So as Bixi already mentioned, I'm originally from Croatia, which is a very small country in Europe, today in European Union. And I'm from this city of Rijeka, which is a coastal city. And I finished my degrees in capital of Zagreb, and I was moving back and forth. So I have some almost a decade of experience working in war and post-war Croatia. So Croatia was part of a bigger country called Yugoslavia, and in 90s it split from there. And I will mention a little bit later why is this important that I grew up in communist Yugoslavia and how I think that impacted my career. And then I moved to Ames, Iowa, lived there for a little bit short time. I did not work there. From there, I moved to University of California in Riverside. And then after that to University of Alabama in Birmingham, Alabama. And I spent there quite a number of years until at the beginning of 2023, I moved to Hangzhou, China. Hangzhou is a beautiful city. If you ever come to China, I highly recommend that you visit it. So as you can tell, I've been moving and traveling a lot, and I hope that my journey around the world will finish back home in my home city in Croatia. So before we can start talking about conflict resolution, we actually need to define what conflict is. So conflict comes as a consequence of disagreements or arguments, and typically last longer than expected. And those conflict situations can arise from differences in interests, expectations, values, or opinions that occur between individuals or between or within groups. So, as I mentioned, conflict is a longer process, and there are a series of stages before conflict arises. So it starts with differences, let's say, in opinions, misunderstandings, and so forth. Escalate until it really polarizes, and at some point it breaks into a conflict. And research environment and laboratories, I think we can all agree, are very unique and specific work environment where we spend considerable amount of time. We share spaces, we share supplies, we share equipment, project collaborations, etc. And all of them can be reasons for conflicts to arise. I put reasons for conflicts in research environment in two categories. First category is scientific, can be task related, project related, process related, experimental approach, data interpretation, authorship. Those are very frequent causes of conflicts. But then there is this other part that I think is very important, and I call it non-scientific, and arises from different cultures and backgrounds, and it's more relationship related. So we probably have all experienced different kinds of personalities that we worked with. They can be difficult, they can be explosive, they can be shy, they can be manipulative, non-confrontational, all kinds of personalities. And different personalities don't always get along together. And I have experience in knowing some wonderful people. I have good relationship with one or the other, but two of them between themselves for some reason just cannot work well. Now, the other reason is gender. And unfortunately, we cannot fool ourselves that it doesn't make difference if you are male or female when entering a conflict. I personally experience, and I know many other people, that being a woman, it does make a difference, and it does not give you advantage. The way people treat you, it really does not give you advantage. The other reason also that is very important is our upbringing, our cultural identity, our where do we come from, and in which society and family as well we grew up. And that's why I mentioned I grew up in communist Yugoslavia, where we were mainly taught or trained not to ask too many questions, not to share our opinions, not to speak out. And so when you have that kind of a background and then you move, for example, to United States, where questions and being individual and being assertive, it's a very positive, then it takes you some time to learn and to recalibrate and learn how to fight for your space, fight for your place, and so forth. And then Another thing I think it's very important in research environment is trust. And when trust is gone, I think that conflict is beyond repair. So I listed here some common lab conflicts, and probably many of you or many of you experience some of those. One of them is like everyday life in the lab because of miscommunication of protocols or responsibilities, or somebody in the lab who is not attentive to take care of equipment, of their or shared spaces or shared supplies. So I'm pretty sure you all experience how annoying it can be if somebody always leaves a box with only one tip in there, and you come and you under the time constraint, you have to do experiments, and then, oh, I need to get a box of tips, or I need to get pipettes, or the environment is not clean, or so forth. And there is also competition over equipment, authorship, or credit. That can be serious argument, especially when it comes to authorship, because, you know, at the end of the day, our advancement depends on the number of publications and hopefully first or later last authorships. So that can be a serious problem, and it has to be addressed early on before problem arises. Now, another really important and big one is different standards for data quality, documentation, or work techniques. And so if people come from different backgrounds in terms of education and in terms of experience, and it takes some time before they can be recalibrated and understand what are expectations. Of course, there are personality clashes, as I mentioned before. And also there is so in sometimes in laboratories, and some PIs show favorability to certain people, and that can result in uneven workload distribution. And of course, that is always a problem if that happens. And of course, safety issues, that is something that cannot be overlooked. And that is something that has to be brought up if one see safety is compromised, either other person, or for the whole group, that has to be raised. So if somebody is creating an urgent safety risk, I think that has to be immediately brought up and attended. There are pretty much every lab has certain protocols that need to be, an institution implemented protocols that need to be followed. And of course, supervisor, safety officer, or other responsible personnel have to be notified immediately. And I have to confess that I was safety officer for a certain amount of time, and you usually end up with tasks that you don't really like. So I ended up, but it was part of my job, and I tried to do it the best possible way. So there were a couple of incidents that I had to raise, and probably because of that, I gained some, not really enemies, but not sympathy. within the group, and I will share those incidents with you. So first one was food in the lab. We all know that food and drinks are not allowed in lab space. It's very dangerous, and we need to follow that. However, at some point in my career, there was a lab where, and we worked with human material there. There was a lab where people would bring their lunch in the lab, and they would sit at the equipment and eat their lunch, and then leave it next to the equipment. So I tried to tell them, I tried to talk to them, but they were not really responsive. So in the end, I had to notify a PI and raise the problem. The other one that happened was when somebody decided that it is a really cool idea to save mouse from animal husbandry and bring it to the office as a pet. So I also had to notify supervisor. Those people were not happy, but I thought that was my job to do, and there was nothing personal about it, although unfortunately people did take that personal. So if safety is in danger, safety is priority, and doesn't matter if that will result in awkward relationships, but that has to be taken care of. So within the lab, there can, or within research community, there can be different kinds of conflicts. So there can be at the level of principal and investigator, between principal investigator, and I will share a few examples here that I witnessed or experienced. So there was a situation where two very respectable laboratories in the field were at the meeting. They shared their results, and they get opposite results on very same question that they asked. So that was really awkward. There was no big conflict, but it was a little bit awkward situation between PIs. There were camp A, camp B, and so forth. And that lasted for some time until the third lab actually resolved what was the problem. Now, the both of these labs, they were very solid and very well-known PIs. So it was really hard to say, oh, this person is not right, or that person. So there was a third lab which then demonstrated that actually both of those PIs were correct, but they had different conditions where they did their experiments to address the same question. So that was a very fortunate result. Then, for example, between PIs, PIs can have some really big personalities, and those clashes can sometimes be pretty big. And if they collaborate and they don't define ownerships in advance, then of course that results in a problem. So there was, I witnessed one of those situations where two PIs were so excited that they will collaborate. They didn't in advance talk all the details. And then when the paper was ready to be written and prepared, then there was a question of ownership. And so they finally resolved it with the solution was that the student from first lab would be the first author, and then student from the other lab would be the second author with equal contribution, and then both PIs were corresponding authors with PI from the second lab being the last one. So they resolved it. They were quite happy with that resolution. Now, another problem that can arise from collaboration is resources. So, for example, I witnessed a situation where two PIs were collaborating, and it's customary when there is collaboration that each lab covers cost for whatever experiments are done in that lab. However, in this particular situation, the other lab wanted the first lab to cover all the costs, and of course that resulted in problems, in conflict, and that collaboration did not continue. Or, for example, another example where there was interaction between two faculties, one junior and one senior, where junior faculty for some reason decided that they can tell students of senior faculty what to do, and not only what experiments to do, but to that faculty directed students how to change their proposal. And of course, you can imagine that did not go too well. So the next set of conflicts that can arise is between PI and postdoctoral students and graduate students. And I will address that in the next slide. Or there can be a conflict between PI and research associate or research assistant. And that usually does not end well for a research assistant. It can be there can be conflicts between postdoctoral fellows or between graduate students. They can be overly competitive, or they can be personality difference and so forth, or between postdoctoral students, graduate students, or research associate with postdoctoral students or graduate students. So these usually they can resolve, people can resolve conflicts between themselves, but often a third person, mediator, gets involved, and most often that would be a PI. And in case of research associate conflict with postdoctoral fellows and graduate students, if research associate is trusted person within with their PI, usually it's not going to end well for postdoctoral or graduate student unless that research associate did something that is obviously and really wrong. So I assume that many of you are students and or postdocs that you are earlier in your career. So I listed here some of common conflicts between supervisor and students. I unfortunately must say that I experienced quite a few of them or witnessed some others. And when I was asked to give this talk, I was very happy to accept. But then, I had to go back and think about some of situation in my life, some conflicts, and usually those are not happy places to revisit. But it did help to reflect, and I must say that from this perspective now I have more understanding for some of reactions of my supervisors and PIs. So if there are unclear expectations, if there is communication style mismatch, if there is excessive workload, micromanagement is really annoying. Lack of feedback or support, authorship disputes, unrealistic timelines, too much pressure. That is all very common, and probably we all experienced these. But I think all of this can be resolved. But there are these bolded ones that I think are really serious, and they are much harder to get resolved. And that is if there is data integrity concerns, if one thinks that data is compromised for some reason, and there are trust issues, that is very hard to recover from. And especially trust issues, because once trust is gone, it's very hard to repair relationship. Also, the hard ones are public criticism or hostility, boundary violation, harassment, bullying, mobbing, and of course, as I mentioned before, safety, and of course, ethical issues. So whether the person is in a supervisor position or as a student or postdoc, there are some important things that we need to keep in mind. And if one is realizing that conflict is brewing, that we are going through those phases that I mentioned before, and it's slowly escalating, then it's really important to start keeping records of meetings, of decisions, of deadlines, requests, authorship discussion, protocol instructions, problematic incidents. So keep your records. It's really important. And I learned that later in my career, because I thought always that things can be discussed and resolved, but actually it's very important to keep your records. And document whatever you can with follow-up emails and share documents. And another thing that is really important is to react emotionally. And this is really hard because we are all more or less emotional. And when it comes to a problem, it's really hard to not involve your emotions, but it is important to stay professional, not to argue publicly, not to send angry emails and messages. And another important thing is not to involve other people or get into gossip. So once the conflict happens, then somehow needs to be resolved. And the main thing, I think, especially in professional environment, is important to resolve it respectfully. And there are different skills that can be used to resolve it. And one of the main thing is to talk, communication. At some to approach a conflict, we can be either participant of a conflict or mediator. So depending if you are mediator or participant, we will differently think about the conflict. And the stages and the mediator is usually supervisor, either PI or some other supervisor. And the time to involve a supervisor, PI, is definitely if the conflict affects data quality and safety procedures, when communication breaks down completely, when there is a bullying, harassment, or hostility, or work cannot progress because of the conflict. And as I mentioned before, if the conflict is escalating, stick to documented examples, focus on the project impact, on the work that can or cannot be done, and again, avoid emotional accusation. So if possible, take a step back and try not to be emotional. As I said, that is very hard, but if possible, it is really important to do that. So in order to start resolution, we first need to acknowledge that conflict exists. And sometimes people are in denial, or they just try to push through and they try to ignore the conflict, but it will never get resolved if we don't actually acknowledge. And then after that is that step back and try to turn off your emotions and get information. To identify underlying causes of conflict. Once causes are identified, there is possibility to explore solutions. If solutions are found, try to implement them, and in the end, follow up. So, those are all very reasonable steps. But as I mentioned earlier, I think it's not always easy to implement them. There are some very important skills that can help us in conflict resolution, and those are active listening, negotiation. In every conflict resolution, there will be give or take. And if we really want to resolve conflict, we need to be ready to negotiate. We need to be ready to give up something in order to get to that resolution. Leadership is important. If the other side is not willing to start resolution, take leadership and try to resolve it, be proactive, make some decisions, and then communication. It's really important. If we don't communicate, we cannot know what is the other side cannot know what we are thinking, and if they don't communicate, we cannot know what they are thinking. And that if we communicate, we will collaborate and we will get to the positive, hopefully positive solutions. So to summarize, for conflict resolution, it's crucial to identify problem, to address it privately if it's possible, collect documentation early on if you think that there could be a problem rising, document all interactions, stay professional, stay calm, turn off your emotions, and if no other way, or it's really serious conflict, then include mediator and try to find a person who would be impartial and fair to both sides. So why conflict resolution skills are important? Well, they're important because they build better working relationships, and better working relationships build happier work environment. So instead of dragging ourselves to work, we will go happy and excited every day. But also what is more important, well, equally important, for some more important, is getting those skills will help you get work done more efficiently, and that will lead you to career growth. So I think it's a responsibility for all of us to promote respectful lab culture, regardless on which level we are in research community. But the best way is actually to prevent conflict, because often when conflict arises, there has been lots of different conflicting situations. So my right now, I try to recognize if there is a potential of conflict, either between myself and somebody else, or if I see in lab environment that there are something is happening, I try to address it early on. The earlier the stage, we try to understand when at the beginning when there are some differences or misunderstanding, the better it is, because once we are here, when the conflict arises, it may be too late. We may be too far down the line. And in order to do that, the most important thing I learned, and I'm still learning how to do it, is communication. So if we don't communicate properly, then any of these situations may arise. Now, it is difficult. We are all different personalities. As I mentioned, we are from different backgrounds. That is not always easy. And I have learned, so I told you how it was difficult for me when I moved to the States to start asking questions, to communicate. So I over time, I think I got better and I was more successful in communicating. And then I moved here to Asia. And here is a completely different cultural situation in terms of how people who address their supervisors. So in US, it is encouraged that you challenge your supervisor, that you in different ways, especially when it comes to scientific research. But in Asian cultures, now I don't want to generalize whole Asia, but in China, I think it's still the culture where employees are or students in these situations are not comfortable saying no to PI or expressing their opinions or asking questions. And that makes it hard to communicate with students, to develop them, and to challenge them. If you don't get feedback from them, then it's really hard to educate students and give them that research vigor that they need for future. But all this interpersonal conflicts, you know, at some point you go home and then you can distance yourself from conflict, and you can do and think about other things. But one thing that I found it's really hard to get away from is internal conflict. That hunted me and still hunt me. And I think, again, research environment is very specific in that respect, because we are all here mostly because we are passionate about the research, about the science. And it's hard to find and hard to maintain a work-life balance, either because we are so eager to answer so many questions and do all the experiments, or there is a requirement and expectation from our superiors to spend the long hours at work. And that is, I think, every person is on a boat where we struggle at some point, or more or less often, how to achieve that work-life balance. And then the other internal conflict that I had is how to balance family. And I think many of you can agree that we as a women, regardless which part of the world we come from or we grew up, it is still expected that we put more time and effort in family life, in family chores. And it's very hard to balance that. And especially once you have children, that makes it even harder, because as moms, we not only, it's not only our duty. For me, it was internal need to spend time with my children and to raise them. So it was very hard to balance, and that was my constant internal conflict. Because at work I felt guilty because I spent too much time at work and not at home with children. At home with them, I felt guilty because I felt I was not giving enough for a job, and so that was really challenging for me. And there is no really recipe what to do and how to do it. It just each one of us has to find their own way. And if something works for you, it's the right way, whether it's taking some time off, whether it's having family members, grandparents who can help, whether having external help, nannies, whatever works, that's the right way. So I really don't think that there is a recipe on how to do that. And with that, I would like to thank you all. I hope I helped you. I hope that you've learned something new. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.